Agents, welcome back to the Division Dispatch. Before we unpack today's crucial intel, please drop a like and subscribe to this explainer. It really helps build our squad and keeps this SHD network running strong. Today, we are running a full tactical intel briefing covering all the critical takeaways from that massive June 26 developer AMA. We've got major updates on the PvE Dark Zone, upcoming anti-griefing measures, and honestly, so much more. So gear up and let's get into it. And hey, speaking of building our squad, I just want to take a brief second to celebrate a massive in-universe community victory. Our network just hit exactly 217 subscribers. Seriously, every single one of you represents an agent activated in the field, keeping that watch glowing orange. We're just absolutely thrilled to have this expanding roster of dedicated operatives tuning in. Thank you so much for being here. All right, let's get right down to business.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here are our mission objectives for today's briefing itinerary. We're going to move sequentially through 5 operational zones. First up, the PvE Dark Zone's future. Then anti-griefing and toxicity fixes, rewards and solo difficulty, server stability and Season 2.1, and finally, we'll wrap up with the future meta.
Kicking things off with Operational Zone 1, the PvE Dark Zone's future. So this is the big one, right? The topic that's been completely dominating comms all week long. What is the actual future of the PvE Dark Zone? I know a lot of you have been wondering, is this just a temporary experiment or is this space going to be a permanent fixture on our maps? Well, the development team actually gave us a very clear answer, and it basically puts the ball entirely in our court. They said its future depends on player engagement and feedback, and they're open to keeping it around past this season. This is absolutely vital intel, agents. The community literally holds the power here. If you want the PvE Dark Zone to stick around, you've got to keep deploying into it, running those landmarks, and crucially, giving them constructive feedback. If the numbers are there, the mode stays. It's really that simple.
Moving right along to Operational Zone 2, anti-griefing and toxicity fixes. We absolutely need to talk about securing the extraction loop. Look, a PvE Dark Zone is fantastic in theory, but we all know the actual execution recently has been a bit rough due to some highly problematic player behavior. We've all seen the frustrations, roguelike agents interfering with extractions, or just straight up stealing your hard-earned loot after you go down to a random faction patrol. Well, the fantastic news here is that the devs have officially confirmed this is a bug. It is not a feature. This unintended behavior is being targeted right now. Anti-griefing updates are currently in active development, which means you won't have to watch someone snatch your classified gear during a PvE run for much longer. And this brilliantly illustrates the proposed fix for another major headache, the toxicity meter. The devs definitely heard the loud criticism about that constant disruptive zone reentry loop, and they're exploring a really dynamic fix. Step 1, you engage elites or hunters in the zone. Step 2, upon defeat, they drop an antidote. And Step 3, you secure that antidote to cut your toxicity buildup. Basically, this means you can actually stay in the fight longer. It turns a really disruptive mechanic into a rewarding gameplay loop. Next up, Operational Zone 3, rewards and solo difficulty.
Because let's be real, survival in the Dark Zone is one thing, but making sure the time you spend in there is actually profitable, that has to be the next priority. If the loot isn't worth the risk, why even deploy, right? Well, the devs announced that a major reward rework is currently planned. We're going to see a broader reward pass aimed directly at both the Dark Zone and Conflict. The explicit goal here is making the time you spend in these activities feel significantly more worthwhile. So definitely expect future updates that drastically improve loot quality and progression incentives. Your grind is about to get a whole lot more rewarding. Now, let's talk about difficulty, specifically for our lone wolf operatives out there. While normal scaling feels pretty manageable, there is a massive difficulty spike at Alert Level 4 for solo agents. And the developers explicitly agreed during the AMA that this spike is just a bit excessive, so they're going back to the drawing board to review those numbers. The goal isn't to make it a cakewalk. They definitely want to keep a real challenge intact, but solo players should absolutely expect balancing improvements down the line to make it fair. So, the crucial point here is balance, which brings us to how the PvE Dark Zone handles PvP modifiers. Right now, PvP rebalancing applies inside the PvE space, and yeah, that's been understandably frustrating for a lot of us. The team acknowledged this concern, and they're looking at refining the system. They want to give you more build freedom without feeling overly restricted by strict PvP rules when you're just in a PvE environment. So, balance adjustments here remain active and ongoing.
All right, heading into Operational Zone 4, Stability and Season 2.1.
Now, what's really interesting about this is the timeline. We obviously need to address the most vocal complaint across all comms channels right now, and that's server stability. Currently, engineering is treating Delta disconnects as a top-tier, high-priority issue. They are fully aware of how disruptive this is. But looking ahead, we actually have a clear timeline for them making it right. In-game compensation for affected agents is officially planned for Year 8, Season 2.1. So while stability work is definitely ongoing, relief and a little something extra for your troubles is for sure on the horizon.
And finally, Operational Zone 5, Future Meta and Community Requests. So once the current PvP talent balancing wraps up, what actually falls on the roadmap next? What's the future meta going to look like? Well, once the dust settles on PvP, the focus shifts directly to a few key mechanics. We're going to be getting balance passes on SHD player skills, core attributes, status effects, weapons, and honestly, most importantly, older, underused gear that's just kind of fallen behind the current meta. Seriously, if you have a stash full of classic pieces just collecting dust, hold on to them. The developers are actively looking to significantly broaden build diversity by bringing that older gear back up to par.
The AMA also highlighted that the developers are really listening to your operational requests. First up, a squad ping system, being able to quickly ping enemies or locations. Now, while there are no concrete plans just yet, the devs did acknowledge the tactical value of this, and it is under active internal discussion. Second, there was a massive community request for 12-player clan groups inside the PvE Dark Zone. Again, no strict promises were made, but the developers explicitly stated they really liked the concept and have passed it along to the broader team, so it is definitely on their radar.
So agents, as we wrap up this explainer, the big takeaway is this. There were no shocking surprise reveals during this AMA, but there were countless encouraging signs of active listening from the devs. They hear the stability complaints, they see the griefing, and they know the rewards desperately need a buff. But the absolute most important piece of intel we gathered today is about the PvE Dark Zone. Its long-term survival is entirely in your hands. So I leave you with this question. Will you step up, log in, drop your constructive feedback, and secure the future of the PvE Dark Zone? The network is waiting for your response. Stay safe out there, agents.